This is Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom. Words on leadership, goal setting, productivity, and a whole lot more. I trust today you will consider this like a vitamin or a supplement for your mind and heart. And wherever you receive podcasts, would you please subscribe to Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom and leave a rating and a brief written review. It will enable others to be able to find this podcast. I'd love to talk with you to see if there's any way that I can come alongside and help coach you to meet your dreams, to be the effective leader you were born to be. Just go to drronblake.com/call, get on my calendar, and I will give you a call. I want to talk today a little bit about hacks. Hacks to being more productive and to getting more done. You see, a leadership or a productivity hack is anything that helps you and I to accomplish more in less time. New ways of thinking and doing. And there's just a plethora of material out there to help us. And if you're still a paper and pencil kind of gal or guy, it's okay. There are certain aspects of doing in which I use paper, but I'm also a big fan of a lot of apps that I think have helped me. And whoever you are, you will discover that this is something that is a constantly moving target. And even though there are certain apps that I've really become fond of and use very regularly, there are very few, I'll tell you which one in particular, that I've been resistant to change. And yet a lot of the other apps that have helped me with certain areas of productivity and to help my leadership, I have changed and evolved. And a lot of times you don't really know if something is going to help you until you get the free version and kind of drive it around. And you get a feel fairly quickly, or at least I do, as to whether it's really going to be helpful. They're meant to be helpful. They're not to be the entire automobile. They're just nice accessories and really nice tools to help us get things done. So the very first thing that I want to tell you on any hack, or especially app related, is don't focus on the bells and whistles. Don't focus on the periphery. Don't focus on all of the flashing lights. Focus always on outcomes. Will this program, will this app or application enable me to get to the outcomes quickly, efficiently, and effectively? It's not about going around saying, hey, do you know that I have 49,000 apps on my electronic devices? It's find the apps that enable you to be a more productive person. One of the things that if you're going to be a leader, I am amazed when at times, accidentally or on purpose, someone shows me their inbox and I see hundreds and sometimes thousands of emails. I begin to sweat around the waist when I see that. The very first thing you really need to do is get a handle and get control of your email inbox. There are really only a few things you can do with your inbox. I do not understand, and you'll have to help me, and I don't mean to be calloused or unfeeling, but I don't understand why people leave read or unread, responded to and unresponded to emails in their email inbox as if it's a storage shed. I think that as some people use their garages as landfills, some folks are using their email inbox as a landfill. It's okay to delete certain emails. As a matter of fact, at the end of a year and the beginning of a new year, I rigorously go through my emails, both my business email address and my personal email address, and I begin to unsubscribe vigorously. There are some things that I have subscribed to in the events of a particular year that by the end of the year they have outlived their usefulness. I no longer am interested, or I've made a purchase, or I've taken something in an entirely different direction. There is no law, there is no religious conviction that says once you subscribe to something, You have to keep doing it for the rest of your life. I'm not sure how the algorithms or whatever it is that works, that there are times that I begin to get emails from things and from institutions and people and folks that I never once asked about, nor did I subscribe to them. And so in order to be more productive, you've got to get control of your inbox. And so I would say perhaps you need to schedule 25-minute increments on your timer and just go through and begin to delete and unsubscribe. Now, you can't delete everything in your email. I think one of the reasons it starts is there's something we need to be aware of. There's a piece of information that, though it's not germane or important or vital today, it may be in 2 days, it may be next week or next month, so we keep it there. That's why there are those wonderful folders that you can put them in, pending, future dates, whatever you need. But don't just start parking everything in folders and never look at it again. If you're not going to look at it again, I would say delete it. Now, I'm going to tell you what I do and how I store, especially business emails, in just a little moment. If it is something you can respond to in less than 2 minutes, the best thing for you to do is to respond to the email when you receive it. The other thing that I would say about effective email management, I'm even going to say etiquette, is don't answer your email every time your computer blinks, makes the noise, oh, I've got email, and you go there. Schedule a couple of times, 3, no more than 4 times a day, that you'll look at the email and that you will then respond to it. If it's only going to take you 2 or 3 minutes, just respond to that email and then dispatch it and be done with it. If it's something you need to respond, that's why I like bunching or batching emails and email responses together. Therefore, I can take care of it at one setting. If it's something that I may have to look at in the future, then I find a way to file it, and I'll talk to you about that. One of the things I discovered, if you don't want to receive tons of email, then quit responding to everything via email. Think twice before you send an email message. Oftentimes, is this the best way to communicate? Does it desire or need a response? And so I kind of have begun a 3 to 4 second rule before I write an email. Is it necessary? Now, if I'm responding to someone sent me an email in which I needed to respond, agree, disagree, give them information, then you're obligated to do that. But before I just start sending off a bunch of missives via the email, it's really good to go through the exercise and ask yourself, is this really necessary? Well, I'll talk a little more about email. Email could be its almost separate podcast episode. As we talk about leadership and productivity hacks, I want to just briefly talk about meetings. Again, this could be its own standalone. But let me tell you that something that raised my level in meetings is 3 things I do before going to a meeting. I usually do it either the night before or early the morning of. I remind myself when I have a meeting to attend to, what is the purpose of this meeting? Now, oftentimes, everyone knows what the intention and purpose of the meeting, but I still go through that because I believe it keeps me in the frame of mind that I don't get down different rabbit trails or get taken down onto sidelines and get out in the bushes. I keep remembering, here is the purpose for which this meeting is all about. And then the second thing that I do is I ask myself 3 questions in regard to this meeting. What do I need to say? What questions do I need to ask? What questions do I need to have someone answer? Is there enough resources? Is there a time I just 3 questions that I really need to leave the meeting having a handle on what the answer is. And the third thing that I do, this is vitally important, especially for those of us who spend a considerable time in meetings, is what is the outcome of this meeting to be? What do I desire the outcome? What should the outcome? So if I am clear on what the purpose of the meeting is and clear on what the outcome is, what helps give me that clarity is, here are some questions I'm going to need to have answered. Perhaps these are some questions I need to answer for someone else. And when I do that, it keeps us focused. The reason meetings devolve is no one knows exactly what they're doing, what the outcomes are, what the expectations, and these three exercises of what's the purpose, what are three questions that I need to ask or have answered, and what is the outcome keeps me focused. I think another great leadership hack that I want to just touch on for a moment is always spend time developing others. It may take more time on the front end, but over time, it is an enormous time saver. Identify distractions. I have to have a clean working space. I can't work at a cluttered desk. It may just be me. So I have to make sure that one of the things I do often is to keep my workspace clutter-free. I'm also, evidently, it's a generational thing. I have to work with quiet. I can't have a lot of noise around, so I have to shut the door. I have to do those kinds of things. I want to talk about some of the apps that I use and some that I don't use, but others find valuable. My go-to app, the one that I was alluding to earlier when I mentioned that though there are other things coming onto the market to do the same thing, I am just hesitant to give up on it because it is such a part of my life and been such a lifesaver and time saver, and that is Evernote. I store my notes in there, my writings are in there. I save business emails. I cannot tell you the times that has saved me because I've had people say to me, well, so-and-so told me that they sent you an email and that you never responded. I said, when did they tell you that? They give me the date and time. While I'm talking to them, I'm pulling my Evernote app up and I see not only the original email that the person sent me, but I see my response. And I say to that person, if you'll get permission from that person, I'll be happy to forward this to you. I did receive their email and I did answer them. I've had other people tell me in a meeting when I was expecting them to take part and do something in a meeting, they said, well, you never told me that. And then I quickly pull up Evernote. I show what I sent to them and what their response was. So what happens is people don't question me as much now 9 years later in this position because they know I save everything. And Evernote has such a powerful search engine. I get things in folders, I have tags, it will search anything. I use it to file all sorts of things, creative work as well as things that I need. It is a powerful hack. It just helps me. Now, when it comes to your task list, your to-do list, there are some who love Todoist and some who love Trello. The one that I settled on, and maybe I'm not as firm on this, I used to be as Nosby. I heard Michael Hyatt and Jeff Sanders talk about it. I use it. I like it. I'm also one of those that can use the notes in my iOS, put today at the top of it, and it's effective as well. One of the things that I need is because you just have to have passwords for everything. I'd find something that helps you store and be able to retrieve passwords. The one that I got started with, I'm not sure it's the best, but I know it so well and it's never failed me. And for me personally, it's been effective. And that's something called Dashlane. Now, I know there are people who like to do other kinds of things. You know, there are apps for everything for brainstorming. There are certain things for which apps have been very helpful. Brainstorming and that kind of planning, I have to confess, like to do that on paper and have not found an app for that has been more effective than paper. Listen, it doesn't matter what you use. You can write something down on the back of an envelope, or you can have the most horsepower dynamic app that's ever been created. But the problem is, it doesn't matter what you use. Are you executing? Are you doing the things that you're supposed to be doing? And are you effectively working through and doing the things you need to do? You've been listening to Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom, words on leadership, goal setting, and today, productivity, and a whole lot more. I trust today this has been like a vitamin or a mineral for your heart and your mind. And wherever you receive podcasts, would you please subscribe to Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom, leave a rating and a brief written review. Remember, my leadership friend, you are doing a good job. You're doing better than you think you are. And until next time, this is Dr. Ron saying, have a great and blessed day.